Captain Veltar pressed his three-fingered hand against the cold metal wall of his ship's bridge. The silver wind had been drifting in space for 12 days now. 12 long days without power to the engines. 12 days watching his crew slowly die. The lights flickered again. Each time they did, Veltar felt his heart sink deeper. Soon there would be no lights at all. Soon there would be no air to breathe. The life support systems were failing one by one, just like the Korthak commander had promised they would. "Captain," called Lysara from her station. Her blue skin looked pale and sick. Like everyone else on the ship, she was getting weaker by the hour. "The water recycling system just shut down. We have maybe 2 days left." Veltar closed his large black eyes. 2 days. 200 crew members would be dead in 2 days. All because they had been in the wrong place at the wrong time. All because the Korthak Empire wanted their cargo of rare metals. He could still see War Chief Grixinal's ugly face on the main screen. The Korthak leader had smiled when he disabled their ship. His yellow teeth and red eyes made him look like something from a nightmare. "You Zephyrians think you are so smart," Grixinal had said. "Always talking about peace and science. Let me teach you about the real universe. I could kill you quickly with my weapons, but where is the fun in that? Instead, I will leave you here to think about your mistakes. You will die slowly, knowing that no one is coming to save you." Then the Korthak ships had jumped away, leaving the silver wind powerless and alone. Veltar opened his eyes and looked around the bridge. His crew was trying to stay busy, but he could see the fear in their faces. They all knew they were going to die. The Zephyrian Federation was too far away. Even if they sent a message, help would take months to arrive. They didn't have months. They barely had days. "Sir," said Engineer Tukmar from the back of the bridge, "I managed to get some power back to the communication array. Not much, but enough to send one message." "To where?" asked Veltar. "Our nearest base is 40 light-years away." "I don't know, Captain, but we have to try something." Lysara looked up from her screen. Her job was communications, and she knew more about other species than anyone else on the ship. "Captain, there is one possibility. I found something in our database." "What kind of possibility?" "There's a system not far from here, only 6 light-years away. It's called the Sol System." Veltar had never heard of it. "What species lives there?" "Lysara." Hands shook as she brought up the file on her screen. "They call themselves humans. But Captain, the file says we should avoid them at all costs." "Why?" "Because their planet is classified as a death world." The bridge went quiet. Everyone knew what a death world meant. It was a planet so dangerous that only the strongest, most violent species could survive there. The few death world species in the galaxy were known to be warriors, fighters who solved problems with violence instead of words. "What else does the file say?" asked Veltar. Lysara read from her screen. "Warning. Human species shows extreme aggression when threatened. Home planet features deadly weather, poisonous plants, and predatory animals. Humans have evolved to be natural fighters. Approach with extreme caution. Recommend no contact." "Sounds like exactly the kind of species that would help us," said Tokmar. "Or kill us." "They can't kill us any more dead than we already are," said Veltar. "Send the message." "Captain, are you sure?" "These humans might be worse than the Korthak." Veltar looked around his dying ship. His crew was suffering. The air was getting thin and stale. Soon they would start falling unconscious. Then they would die in their sleep, one by one. "We have 2 choices," he said. "We can die here alone, or we can ask for help from the only species close enough to reach us. Maybe the humans will help us. Maybe they will ignore us. Maybe they will come here just to watch us die. But at least we will have tried." Lysara nodded and started working on her console. "What should I tell them?" "Tell them the truth. Tell them we are dying. Tell them we need help. Should I mention the Korthik? Veltar thought about this. If the humans were really as violent as the file said, maybe knowing about the attack would make them more likely to help. Or maybe it would make them think the Zephyrians were weak and not worth saving. Yes, he decided. Tell them everything. Tell them who attacked us and why. If they are going to help us, they should know what they are getting into. Lazara spent the next hour putting together the message. She explained who they were, where they were, and what had happened to them. She told the humans about the Korthak attack and how their ship had been disabled. She begged for help, for rescue, for anything that might save her people. When the message was ready, she looked at Captain Veltar. This is it, sir. Once I send this, there's no taking it back. Send it, said Veltar. The message shot out into space, racing toward the Sol system at the speed of light. It would take 6 years to get there, but the humans had something called faster-than-light communication. If they were listening, they would hear the call for help. Now, all the Zephyrians could do was wait. Wait and hope that somewhere in the darkness of space, someone was listening. Someone who might care enough to help a ship full of dying strangers. Veltar didn't know that his desperate message would change everything. He didn't know that the species he was calling for help had spent thousands of years learning how to fight. He didn't know that humans had one simple rule about people who hurt the innocent. He was about to find out why. Earth was marked as a death world in every galactic database. 21 days had passed since the message was sent. Captain Veltar knew because he had been counting every hour. The silver wind was dying, and so was everyone on it. The air was so thin now that just walking made him dizzy. Half his crew had already fallen unconscious. They lay in their beds, breathing slowly, waiting for the end. The water had run out 2 days ago. Soon the air would be gone too. Veltar sat on his bridge, staring at the empty space outside. No stars moved. Ships came. The universe was quiet and cold, just like it had always been. He had been foolish to think anyone would come. Why would a species of warriors care about a bunch of dying scientists? Captain, whispered Lisara. She could barely speak now. Her voice was weak and scratchy. I'm sorry. I'm sorry the message didn't work. It's not your fault, Veltar said. We tried. That's all we could do. He closed his eyes and tried to think of his home planet. Green fields, blue skies, his family waiting for him to return. At least they would remember him. At least someone would know he had tried to save his crew. Then the alarm started beeping. Veltar's eyes snapped open. The proximity alarm. Something was near the ship. But that was impossible. His sensors had been broken for weeks. Captain. Tokmar's voice came from the engineering station. The old engineer was crawling across the floor, too weak to stand. Something's out there, something big. Veltar looked at the main screen. It was cracked and flickering, but he could see it. A shape in the darkness. A ship unlike anything he had ever seen before. It was black and angular, built like a weapon. Sharp edges and metal plates covered its hull. Strange symbols were painted on its side in white letters. It looked like it was designed for one purpose: to fight and win. Open a channel, Veltar said. His voice was shaking. I'm trying, Captain. The communications are barely working. Static filled the bridge. Then a voice came through the speakers. It was deep and rough, speaking in perfect galactic standard. This is Captain Jake Murphy of the Earth Defense Force vessel, Iron Wolf. We received your distress signal. Are you the Zephyrian ship Silver Wind? Veltar couldn't believe it. Someone had come. Someone had actually come, yes. Yes, this is Captain Veltar of the Silver Wind. We are dying. Please, we need help. We're coming aboard. Stay where you are. The channel went dead. Veltar looked at his crew. They were all staring at the screen with wide eyes. The human ship was moving closer. It was much smaller than the Silver Wind, but something about it made Veltar's skin crawl. It looked dangerous, like a predator swimming through space. Metal scraping against metal echoed through the ship. The humans were docking with them. Veltar heard footsteps in the corridor outside the bridge, heavy boots on metal floors. Then the door opened. 5 figures in dark uniforms walked in. They moved with purpose, like soldiers on a mission. Their leader was tall and broad-shouldered. His hair was brown and cut short. His eyes were blue and cold, like ice. This had to be Captain Murphy. Behind him came 4 others. A woman with black hair who carried herself like a fighter. A man with dark skin who kept looking around the room like he was memorizing everything. A red-haired woman with tools on her belt. And another man who was checking every corner, every shadow. "I'm Captain Jake Murphy," the leader said. His voice was calm, but there was something underneath it that made Veltar nervous. "This is my crew. Lisa Grant, Tony Rodriguez, Kate Sullivan, and Rick Hayes. Thank you for coming," Veltar said. "We didn't think anyone would answer." "We always answer," Murphy said. "Kate, get to work on their life support. Tony, check their sensor array. Lisa, I want a full damage report. Rick, secure the ship." The humans moved immediately. No questions, no hesitation. They spread out across the bridge like they had done this 1,000 times before. The woman named Kate pulled out tools and started working on the air recycling system. Within minutes, Veltar could hear it humming back to life. "How many crew?" Murphy asked. 200. "Most are unconscious. Sam." Murphy spoke into a small device on his collar. "Get over here with the medical supplies. We've got 200 people in bad shape." Another human arrived, carrying bags full of equipment. This one was smaller than the others, with gentle hands and kind eyes. But even he moved with the same purposeful way as the rest of them. "I'm Sam Parker," he said to Veltar. "I'm going to take care of your people." As the medic worked, Captain Murphy walked around the bridge. He was looking at the damage, studying the broken systems. His eyes missed nothing. "Tell me what happened," he said. Veltar explained about the Korthak attack, about War Chief Grixinol and his cruelty, about being left to die slowly in space. Murphy listened without saying a word. His face showed no emotion, but Veltar could see something building behind those cold blue eyes. Something that made him glad this human was here to help and not to hurt. "Where are they now?" Murphy asked. "The Korthak? I don't know. They jumped away after they disabled us. We'll find them." Something in the way Murphy said those words made Veltar's blood freeze. It wasn't a promise. It was a fact. A statement of what was going to happen. "Captain Murphy," Veltar said carefully. "We just need to get home. We don't want any trouble." Murphy turned to look at him. For a moment, Veltar saw something in those eyes that reminded him why Earth was called a death world. Something that belonged to a species that had fought and killed to survive on a planet that wanted them dead. "I understand," Murphy said. "But you need to understand something too. When humans answer a distress call, we don't just rescue people. We make sure the problem doesn't happen again." The bridge went quiet. Even the humans stopped working for a moment. "You called us for help," Murphy continued. "Now you have it. All of it. We're going to get you and your crew home safe. But first, we're going to have a conversation with the people who did this to you." Veltar realized that his call for help had brought more than just rescue. He had summoned something from the darkness of space. Something that didn't just save people, something that hunted. The Iron Volf was like nothing Captain Veltar had ever seen. The human ship was small but packed with weapons and technology that made his head spin. Every surface was metal and sharp angles. The corridors were narrow and efficient. Everything had a purpose. Veltar walked behind Captain Murphy through the ship. His crew was being treated in the medical bay. Sam Parker had worked for 6 hours straight, bringing the unconscious Zephyrians back to health. The humans had food, water, medicine, and most importantly, hope. But Veltar was starting to understand that rescue came with a price. "Sit down," Murphy said, pointing to a chair in what the humans called the briefing room. The walls were covered with screens showing maps, star charts, and data that scrolled too fast to read. Kate Sullivan was at one of the computers. Her fingers moved across the keyboard like lightning. "I've got the Silver Wind sensor array working again, Captain. The damage was worse than I thought, but I can get it running." "Good. Tony, what do you have on our targets?" Tony Rodriguez looked up from another screen. "The Korthek use old-style fusion drives. They're fast, but they leave a trail. If I can get a good scan of the area where they attacked, I can track where they went." Murphy nodded. "Rick, prep the Marines. I want everyone ready for combat operations." Rick Hayes was checking weapons in the corner of the room. Big, dangerous-looking guns that Veltar had never seen before. "How many are we expecting to face?" "Unknown. Could be one ship, could be 20. Doesn't matter." Veltar cleared his throat. "Captain Murphy, I don't understand. Why do you need to track the Korthek?" "You saved us, that's enough." Murphy turned to look at him. Those cold blue eyes studied Veltar like he was looking at a broken machine that needed fixing. "Let me explain something to you, Captain Veltar. On Earth, we have predators. Animals that hunt and kill other animals. Do you know what happens when you find a predator that has been attacking your family? You drive it away? No, you kill it. Because if you don't, it will come back. It will attack again. It will hurt more innocent people." Lisa Grant spoke up from her station. "Captain, I've got something. Long-range sensors are picking up Korthak energy signatures. They're not far from here." "How far?" 3 days at maximum. Speed. Looks like they're at a fixed position. Probably a base or mining operation." Murphy smiled, but it wasn't a happy smile. It was the smile of a hunter who had found fresh tracks. "Kate, how long until the Silver Wind is ready to travel?" "Another day, maybe 2. But Captain, that ship isn't built for fighting. The Zephyrian should head home." "Agreed." "Veltar, your ship and crew will jump back to Federation space as soon as Kate finishes repairs. What about you?" Veltar asked, though he was afraid he already knew the answer. "We're going hunting." Over the next day, Veltar watched the humans work. They moved like a machine made of flesh and blood. Every person knew their job and did it perfectly. There was no wasted motion, no unnecessary talk. They were preparing for war with the same calm efficiency they had used for the rescue. Kate worked on the Silver Wind's engines. Tony mapped the Korthek base using the ship's repaired sensors. Lisa coordinated with other human ships that were apparently on their way. Rick trained his Marines, running them through exercises that looked like organized violence, and Murphy planned everything like he was playing a game of chess where the pieces were made of death. "Captain Veltar," Murphy called out, "I need to ask you some questions about the Korthek." They sat in Murphy's private office. The walls were covered with pictures of Earth. Veltar could see why it was called a death world. Massive storms, erupting volcanoes, animals with huge teeth and claws. It looked like a planet that was trying to kill everything living on it. "Tell me about War Chief Grixino," Murphy said. "How did he act? What did he say?" "He was cruel. He enjoyed making us suffer. He said he could have killed us quickly, but preferred to watch us die slowly." Murphy made notes on a tablet. "What about his ship? How many crew? What kind of weapons? I'm not sure. Maybe 300 Korthak warriors. Their ship was twice the size of mine. They had energy weapons and missile systems. Defensive systems? I don't know much about military technology, Captain Murphy." "That's okay. Every detail helps." For 2 hours, Murphy asked questions. He wanted to know everything about the attack. How the Korthek moved, how they talked, what they cared about. He was building a picture of his enemy like an artist painting a portrait. "One more question. Murphy said. Do the Korthek take prisoners? Veltar's face went pale. Yes, they take slaves from the worlds they attack. They force them to work. In their mines and factories. Murphy's jaw tightened. How many slaves do you think are at their base? I don't know. Could be thousands. Murphy stood up and walked to the window that looked out at the stars. Thank you, Captain. You can go rest. Now, your ship will be ready to leave tomorrow. Captain Murphy, what are you planning to do? Murphy didn't turn around. I'm going to solve a problem. The next morning, 2 more human ships arrived. The destroyer Nemesis under Captain Ben Clark and the assault carrier Retribution commanded by Captain Amy Foster. Veltar watched through the Silver Wind's repaired viewports as the 3 human vessels moved into formation. They looked like metal sharks swimming through space. Built for one purpose, to hunt and kill. Captain Murphy's voice came over the communication system. Silver Wind, you are cleared for departure. Safe travels, Captain Veltar. Thank you for saving us, Captain Murphy. But please, be careful. The Korthek are dangerous. There was a pause. Then Murphy's voice came back, and Veltar heard something in it that made his blood run cold. So are we. The Silver Wind jumped to faster-than-light speed, carrying the rescued Zephyrians home. Behind them, 3 human warships turned toward the Korthek base. Veltar didn't know that he had just witnessed the beginning of something that would change the galaxy forever. He didn't know that the Korthek Empire was about to learn why no species in the universe wanted to fight the descendants of Earth. He was about to find out that when humans went hunting, they didn't just catch their prey, they eliminated it. War Chief Grixinal stood on the bridge of his battlecruiser, watching his slaves work on the moon below. Thousands of beings from dozens of different species moved like ants across the surface, digging precious metals from the ground. The Korthek had been using this base for 5 years, and it had made them very rich. Chief, called his second-in-command, the mining operation is ahead of schedule. We should have enough rare metals to buy 3 more warships. Grixinal smiled, showing his yellow teeth. Excellent. Soon the Korthek Empire will control this entire sector. These weak species make perfect slaves. He thought about the Zephyrian ship he had left to die 3 weeks ago. By now, they would all be dead. He had enjoyed imagining their slow suffering, their hopeless waiting for rescue that would never come. Chief, the communications officer's voice was urgent. I'm detecting 3 ships approaching at high speed, unknown design. What species? I don't know, Chief. I've never seen ships like these before. Grixinal walked to the main screen. 3 black shapes were moving toward his base. They were still far away, but something about them made him nervous. They moved with purpose, like predators closing in on prey. Hail them, he ordered. I'm trying, Chief. They're not responding. Then prepare for battle. Alert all ships. Ready the defense platforms. The Korthak base had 12 warships and 40 defense platforms. Grixinal had never lost a battle. His enemies were always weak, peaceful species who barely knew how to fight. These 3 unknown ships would be destroyed easily. Then the first one opened fire. The destroyer Nemesis unleashed a barrage of missiles that moved faster than anything Grixinal had ever seen. They curved and twisted through space, avoiding the defense platform's return fire. When they hit, the explosions were so bright they lit up the entire moon. 6 defense platforms destroyed, shouted the weapons officer. How did they do that? Before Grixinal could answer, the second human ship attacked. The Iron Wolf came in low and fast, its weapons carving through the Korthek formation like a knife through paper. 2 warships exploded in seconds. A third lost power and began drifting helplessly. Return fire. All ships, return fire. The Korthek fleet fired everything they had. Energy beams and missiles filled the space around the human ships. But the humans moved like dancers, sliding between the attacks with impossible grace. Their ships twisted and turned, never staying in one place long enough to be hit. Then the assault carrier, Retribution, launched its fighters. 50 small human ships poured out of the carrier's bays. They moved like a swarm of angry insects, each one faster and deadlier than anything the Korthek had ever faced. Within minutes, the remaining defense platforms were nothing but floating debris. "This is impossible," Grixenol screamed. "What are these creatures?" His communications officer looked up with terror in his eyes. "Chief, I'm getting a message from the lead ship." "Put it on screen." The main display showed a human face. The being had cold blue eyes and brown hair. He looked calm, like he was discussing the weather instead of destroying an entire battle fleet. "I am Captain Jake Murphy of the Earth Defense Force. You are War Chief Grixenol of the Korthek Empire. 3 weeks ago, you attacked a Zephyrian science vessel. You left them to die slowly in space." Grixenol found his voice. "So what if I did? They were weak. They deserved to die. You're right about one thing. Someone deserves to die today." The human's face disappeared from the screen. The attack resumed with even greater fury. Captain Murphy's voice echoed across all frequencies as his ships systematically destroyed the Korthak fleet. "This is a message to all Korthak forces. You have attacked beings under human protection. Your expansion ends here. Any further aggression against civilians will result in total annihilation." On the moon's surface, the slaves looked up at the battle in the sky. Beings from peaceful worlds who had been forced to work in the mines for years watched as their captors' ships exploded one by one. Amy Foster's Marines landed on the moon in small assault ships. They moved through the Korthak ground forces like shadows of death. Their weapons were silent and deadly. Their armor made them look like demons from a nightmare. Sergeant Dan Foster led his squad through the mining complex. The Korthak guards tried to fight, but they had never faced anything like these humans. The Marines moved with perfect coordination, each one covering the others, each shot finding its target. "Sector 7 clear," Foster reported. "All guards neutralized. Beginning slave evacuation." "Copy that, Sergeant." "Medical teams are standing by." The rescued slaves couldn't believe what they were seeing. These humans, these beings from a death world, were treating them with gentleness and care. They gave them food, water, and medical attention. They spoke in soft voices and moved slowly so as not to frighten them. But when they turned to face the remaining Korthak guards, they became something else entirely. Back in space, Grixenol's fleet was down to 3 ships. His mighty battlecruiser was damaged and losing power. His warriors, who had terrorized the galaxy for decades, were running in fear. "Chief," gasped his weapons officer, "we have to surrender. We can't fight these demons." "Never!" Grixenol roared. "The Korthak Empire does not surrender to anyone." He opened a channel to the human ships. "You may have won today, but you cannot fight our entire empire. We have 1,000 ships. We will come back and destroy you all." Murphy's voice came back immediately. "No, you won't." "Why not?" "Because you'll be too busy explaining to your emperor why you lost an entire battle fleet to 3 ships. You'll be too busy telling him that there's a new power in this galaxy, one that doesn't negotiate with slavers and murderers." The Iron Wolf moved closer to Grixenol's ship. The war chief could see the human vessel's weapons powering up. "You have one choice," Murphy continued. "Surrender now, release all your slaves, and leave this sector forever. Or we will hunt down every Korthak ship in space and destroy them one by one." Grixenol looked around his bridge. His crew was staring at him with terror in their eyes. They had never been defeated before. They had never faced an enemy that fought with such precision and ruthlessness. "What are you?" he whispered. "We're humans," Murphy replied. "We come from a world that tried to kill us every day for millions of years. We survived by becoming better at killing than anything else on our planet. We don't want to rule the galaxy. We just want to protect the innocent, but if you threaten them, you threaten us." And that's not a fight you can win. The war chief's ship shuddered as the human weapons locked onto it. Around him, the wreckage of his fleet drifted in space. Below, his ground forces were being systematically eliminated by human marines. For the first time in his life, Grixnil felt fear. "I surrender," he said. 3 months had passed since the battle at the Korthek mining base. News of the human victory had spread across the galaxy faster than light itself. Every species, every government, every trading post was talking about the same thing. Earth had arrived. Captain Veltar stood in the great council chamber on Zephyr Prime, the capital world of his people. Around him sat the leaders of 12 different species. They had all come to hear his report about the humans. They wanted to know about the beings who had destroyed an entire Korthak fleet with just 3 ships. "Tell us again about their weapons," said Chancellor Mordak of the Centauri Republic. "How were they so effective?" Veltar shook his head. "It wasn't just their weapons, Chancellor. It was how they used them. They moved like they had fought together for years. Every shot, every maneuver, perfectly coordinated. They didn't waste a single missile or energy blast." "But how did they find the Korthik base so quickly?" asked Ambassador Yelena from the Rigel Collective. "They hunted them like predators tracking prey. They studied every detail of the attack on my ship, learned everything about Korthak tactics, then used that knowledge to find and destroy them." The council chamber fell silent. These were leaders of peaceful civilizations. They solved problems with words, with trade agreements, with careful diplomacy. The idea of hunting down enemies and destroying them was foreign to them. "What do the humans want?" asked the Chancellor. Before Veltar could answer, the chamber doors opened. A human woman walked in, flanked by 2 guards. She was tall and blonde, wearing a simple blue uniform. Her movements were calm and confident, but everyone in the room could sense the danger that followed her people everywhere. "I am Ambassador Helen North of Earth," she said. Her voice was clear and strong. "I come to speak with the Galactic Council about humanity's role in this sector." The Chancellor gestured to an empty chair. "Please, Ambassador, join us. We have many questions." Helen sat down and looked around the room. Her blue eyes missed nothing. "I'm sure you do. Let me start by explaining why Earth sent warships to this sector." She activated a small device, and holographic images appeared in the air above the table. Pictures of the rescued slaves from the Korthak base. Beings from dozens of different species, many of them council members. "These are some of the people we freed from Korthak slavery," Helen said. "We found over 3,000 beings working in their mines. Some had been prisoners for 10 years. Children born in captivity who had never seen their home worlds." The council members stared at the images in horror. They had known about Korthak raids, but seeing the reality of slavery made it real. "We also found records," Helen continued. "The Korthak had plans to attack 12 more systems in the next 6 months. Your systems, your worlds, your people. Why didn't you just rescue the slaves and leave?" asked Ambassador Yelena. "Why destroy their entire fleet?" Helen's expression hardened. "Because on Earth, we learned a simple truth. Evil doesn't stop just because you ask it nicely. It only stops when it can't continue." She stood and walked to the window that looked out over the capital city. Millions of Zephyrians going about their daily lives, safe and peaceful. "Earth offers protection to any species willing to accept our terms," she said. "We will defend your worlds from raiders, slavers, and conquerors. We will keep the shipping lanes safe. We will ensure that peaceful beings can live without fear." "What are your terms?" asked the Chancellor. "Simple. You acknowledge Earth as the primary military authority in this sector. When we say a threat needs to be eliminated, you don't argue. When we ask for information about hostile forces, you provide it. When we tell you to stay out of a conflict zone, you listen." The room erupted in whispers. The council members talked. among themselves in dozens of different languages. Finally, the Chancellor spoke. "Ambassador North, what you're describing sounds like Earth ruling over us." "No," Helen said firmly. "Earth has no interest in ruling anyone. We don't want your trade routes or your resources. We don't want to control your governments or your people. We just want to keep the galaxy safe for those who can't protect themselves. And if we refuse," Helen turned from the window. Her face was emotionless, but her voice carried the weight of 3 human warships and all the firepower they contained. "Then you're on your own. The next time raiders attack your colonies, don't call us. The next time slavers take your people, don't expect rescue. Earth protects those who accept our protection. Everyone else gets to handle their own problems." The silence stretched for long minutes. Finally, Captain Veltar stood up. "The Zephyrian Federation accepts Earth's terms," he said. "You saved my crew when no one else would. You freed thousands of slaves when no one else could. We trust you to keep us safe." One by one, the other species agreed. Some eagerly, grateful for protection they couldn't provide themselves. Others reluctantly, afraid of both the humans and their enemies. Within a year, the new order was established. Human patrol ships moved through the trading lanes, their black hulls and sharp angles a reminder that predators were watching. Raider attacks dropped to almost nothing. Slave markets closed down. Pirates found new, safer careers. The Korthak Empire signed a peace treaty and withdrew from the entire sector. War Chief Grixenol was demoted to cleaning officer on a garbage transport. His replacement sent regular reports to Earth Command, making sure the humans knew that the Korthak were behaving themselves. Captain Jake Murphy sat in his ready room aboard the Iron Wolf, reading the latest patrol reports. The ship was stationed at the edge of human-protected space, watching for threats. His crew had become legends throughout the galaxy. The beings who answered the Zephyrian distress call and changed everything. "Captain," Lisa Grant's voice came over the intercom. "We're receiving a distress signal from the Tau Ceti system. Looks like slavers are attacking the colony world." Murphy smiled and stood up. It was the same smile he had worn when hunting the Korthak, the smile of a predator who had found fresh prey. "Set course for Tau Ceti," he ordered. "Maximum speed." "Aye, Captain. Should I contact the other ships?" "No need. 3 ships were enough for the Korthak. We can handle a few slavers ourselves." The Iron Wolf turned toward the distress signal and jumped to faster-than-light speed. Behind it, dozens of human ships patrolled the galaxy, keeping watch over species that had learned to trust the beings from the Death World. The galaxy was safer now. But it belonged to those who had proven themselves the ultimate predators in a universe that only respected strength. And everyone knew it.